Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the tennis world with the tennis expert. I am your tennis expert. This is the best place to be for information about tennis. I am your tennis expert, and this is the tennis world with the tennis expert. We've got 3 topics today: review of the World Tour finals, review of the Davis Cup, and review of Nadal's career, essentially. We're going to talk about Nadal's retirement. If you want to just hear about Nadal's retirement, move forward. I'll go over the results and I'll spend a shorter time. My last video, I previewed the final of the World Tour finals and reviewed the semifinals, but now the final is over. Had some things to do, but there's only been the Davis Cup since then, so that's okay. And there's been Nadal's retirement. So let's get into the video, shall we? So first, we're going to talk about Sinner winning the World Tour finals. Last time I was with you, I reviewed the semifinals and I preview. I told you I think it was going to be straight sets and 2 close sets for Sinner over Fritz. I said Sinner can match Fritz on the power on the serve and the power on the ground strokes and the aggressive play, but he's better on defense and will make less errors and is more consistent with the rally shots, while same winners, same power on the serve. And when you're matching all Fritz's strengths, but then you're better at the return of serve, better defensively, and you're making less errors, but you've got the same power on rally shots and serve, you're going to match your opponent, but you're going to be better in certain other areas. And that's going to get you the win in every single set, and the set should be close because Fritz has still got a lot of power, but 6-4, 6-4, but just the consistency is there. Like Fritz making a couple of, the main thing is Fritz is getting the same off the serve and the power, but more errors, and then a couple of errors at critical games, and Sinner takes advantages, gets the break, but Sinner's got the same power as you. He's not going to make the error, so you won't be able to break him. But Sinner just did that. Same power on the serve, rally shots, less errors, and then got more returns in play with a better return and more consistent, better defense. But the inconsistencies of Fritz and a couple of service games lost him 2 service games, which lost him the set. And the more errors while Sinner's matching him on the power, and the errors caused the 2 break of serves. But essentially, Sinner just did everything Fritz did, right? But like was more consistent, and in a couple of games Fritz made errors, cost him breaks. But when Sinner's hitting him with the same power off the serve and the rally shot, but not making any errors, there's no chance for a break. But then a couple of errors here and there, you get a couple of service breaks of Sinner getting breaks over Fritz. But then those same opportunities, Sinner's not giving back to Fritz. So there you go, straight sets. Sinner was just too good also against Rude before he completely overpowered. So when you get a consistent guy like Rude, he's overpowering him. When you get a guy with the same level of power as Sinner, he's beating with him consistency and a couple of errors in important games from Fritz and getting breaks. So whether you're consistent, you're overpowered, but when you're powerful, he's beating with your consistency. So Sinner's doing great. Then we'll move on to the Davis Cup. So Sinner is the World Tour Finals champion. Let's go to the Davis Cup. So Italy won, and again, it was Sinner was the story of the show here. Let's look at the semifinals, what they did. Berrettini beat Kokkinakis, but again, 6-3, 6-4, Sinner overpowers a consistent de Minaur, the same way he did with Rude. And then in the final, Berrettini beat Van der Zandschulp 6-4, 6-2. But then the match getting the title, Yannick Sinner takes down Griekspoor of the Netherlands 7-6, 6-2. He's got consistency, he's got power, he's beating everybody. And Yannick Sinner has won the World Tour final and won the Davis Cup for Italy. And he's on a roll right now, and he's ending the year at number 1. I believe he's more than 4,000 points ahead of anyone. So that's my review of Davis Cup World Tour Finals. It's Sinner is dominating. And he's beaten Fritz with consistency. He's beaten Rude. with overpowering him. He's overpowered Demonor. Too good and consistent for Greek sport. He's won the Davis Cup for Italy. He's won the World Tour Finals. He's your World Tour Finals champion, and he's given Italy the Davis Cup. Now let's get into Rafael Nadal. What a career he has had. 22 Grand Slams. So he's second on Grand Slams to Djokovic. I don't know the number of Masters of Thousands, but I know he's second to Djokovic, right? The weeks at number one, he's not been able to be right up there, like with the best players, because of his injuries and the number one ranking. But like, I believe he's second to Djokovic in year-end number ones, maybe tied with Federer. But he's definitely, worst case, equals second in year-end number ones. So all that shows, according to the record, he's the second best player to Djokovic. And the two most the World Tour Finals is just one tournament and it's on one surface. It's like saying if you're better at the French Open, you're the GOAT, or you're better at the Australian Open. No, we don't judge. We have a series, like a Masters series, of different tournaments on different surfaces throughout the year, 4 Grand Slams on different surfaces, and we judge a player like that. Yes, the World Tour Final is important, but it just judges who's good on an indoor hard court. Like, that's not a representation. So the two most important set of tournaments, Grand Slams number 1, Masters of 1000 number 2, where these are a whole lot of different tournaments throughout the year on different surfaces. Nadal is second to Djokovic on both of those, right? I think what we've also got to say is he's ahead of Federer in both Masters of 1000 Grand Slams. Federer is one of the most healthiest players ever, whereas Nadal was so injured. But somehow, even with all these injuries and giving away, he's probably lost like at least 10 Masters of 1000 with injuries and probably 4, 5, 7, 6 Grand Slams. But even with losing all that, we don't need to wonder what he would do, because he's still been better than Federer in Grand Slams, yeah, and in Masters of Thousands, and he's won the head-to-head. He's won 7. Like, I don't have the head-to-head. I should have got that up, but anyway, he's won the head-to-head. He's won like 7 more matches than Federer in the head-to-head matchup. And then the second most important group of tournaments, which are played on all surfaces, Masters of 1000 and the most important Grand Slams, even with the fact that he was very injured and Federer was very healthy. He's beating Federer in everything, head-to-head, Grand Slams, Masters of 1000. So it shows he's clearly in the top 2 best players, because if he was as healthy as Federer, he would be like way, way ahead. But even with the poor health, he's still ahead in all those head-to-head, Grand Slams, Masters of 1000s. But we don't need to worry about what he would have done if he was more healthy, because even without the health, he's done better than Federer. He's achieved more. What about him versus Djokovic? Djokovic, I think he's got more Masters of 1000. It's about 5 or 6, 2 more Grand Slams. But honestly, like, he's missed about 15 Grand Slams to 20 where he wasn't healthy, didn't play, or played with injuries, more than Djokovic. So, like, these guys, Nadal, Djokovic, they win about 25%. So I'd say it'd be fair to say he would win another 4 to 5, which would put him up to 26, 27. Not to say, but then you got to also understand this. If he got 26 to 27, Djokovic was motivated until he got more Grand Slams, right? Excuse me. He was motivated until he got more Grand Slams than Nadal. So if Nadal would have got 26 or 27 if he was the same health of Djokovic, but now Djokovic wouldn't have won the Grand Slam race. So last year he suffered from lack of motivation, because he didn't have the most Grand Slams. But if Nadal was more healthy and won more, now Djokovic would still be chasing the most Grand Slams, which means he'd be more motivated. So you'd have a very interesting situation with Nadal at 26 to 27, Djokovic at 24, Nadal still retiring before Djokovic, and Djokovic being the last one left, but 2 to 3 more Grand Slams to catch up to what Nadal would have done, being very motivated, which would have been better because, one, we would have got to see Nadal win more and be more healthy. Number two, now Nadal is gone, we would see Djokovic, the lack of motivation that he has because he's already got the Grand Slam race, he wouldn't suffer from that. He would still be behind Nadal. He would still be the last man standing, and he would need 2 to 3 Grand Slams more, and he would be playing better, and he would be more motivated, and he was chasing it down. Would Djokovic catch the... Sorry, guys. Would Djokovic catch the now being motivated, chasing down the record? We don't know, but he would be more motivated, he would be playing better, and he would be doing anything to get to that 26 or 27 mark if Nadal was more healthy. So even if Nadal was more healthy, right now he would be ahead of Djokovic, but then Djokovic would be playing better and more motivated and would be doing everything to get that. This Djokovic that got no Grand Slams this year, I don't think that would have happened. So he would have been at least at 25 by now. So it would have been very interesting if Nadal was healthy, he would be ahead of Djokovic, but Djokovic would be the last man standing, chasing down the record, motivated and playing much better than he is now, because you've got to understand, once he got the Grand Slam record, the motivation went down, he stopped winning. But if Nadal had won more, he wouldn't have the Grand Slam record, so he'd be motivated, playing better. But then he would still be older and facing Sinner and Alcaraz. So would he be able to get another 2-3 Grand Slams? For sure he'd be playing better. For sure he'd be doing anything to get there. But would he get to that mark of 26, 27? A small chance Nadal would have got to 28, but probably not. We don't know. But we know he would be playing better, and his chances of winning would be more, and he'd be more motivated and he'd be more hungry, because the hunger dies when he wins the Grand Slam race, which, because Nadal only had 22, that's already happened. But if Nadal was more healthy, got to 26, 27, that motivation would still be there, and he'd be doing anything to get there, and he'd be a much better version of Djokovic that we see now. But it's maybe about 50-50 would have got there, because one, he's motivated, playing better, doing everything. Two, it's hard at that age to keep winning. And then with Sinner and Alcaraz, but then last year where he didn't win any, he probably would have won at least one. So it would have been about 50-50. But anyway, I'm going to say Djokovic and Nadal are the equal best players of all time. And they're two players on an equal level. And it's just come down to one thing. One guy is one of the best two players with great health, and the other guy is one of the best two with poor health. So the guy with that great level with the health has a better record. But anyway, I think Nadal's the best, equal best with Djokovic, but the record has Djokovic just due to the health. But still, even with the health and looking at the record as it stands, with Djokovic having the better record, he's still got the second best record ever behind Djokovic, even with poor health. And he's even got a better record with Federer with health nowhere near as good as Federer. The head-to-head 31-29, we definitely know that last match was like Nadal that should have been retired but was just trying. So that's not the normal Nadal and Djokovic that we're seeing. So they really ended at 30-29. One match, but then Nadal had a better record. He won 4 more of their matches at Grand Slams, and Grand Slam matches held more weight. Djokovic is only 30-29 ahead until 2024, when Nadal was just playing to play, but never had a chance anymore. Excuse me. So we really shouldn't count that even, because that was just like Djokovic will continue to play past where he can win, and he'll lose a lot too. But like before that stage hit Nadal, it was 30-29. But Nadal had won, I think it was like 11-7 in Grand Slams. But I know he'd won 4 more Grand Slam matches. So which do you take? Djokovic with the one best of 3 set match, or Nadal with the 4 Grand Slam matches? Probably best of 5 shows the better player more, and you're playing for a bigger prize. But anyway, again, that's another thing. They're very even. And then, like I said, Djokovic's lead in Masters of 1,000 Grand Slams just due to best health. But these guys are very equal. But when you got two guys equal and one guy with better health, the guy with better health, Djokovic, has a better record. But if you just forget about, what ifs, could or should have, all this stuff, the fact is Nadal didn't get those numbers because he didn't have Djokovic's health. But still, even if you just look at the record, how they stand, I say he's the equal. Him and Djokovic are the equal best ever. But at least when you forget about the health and what Nadal would have done, he's still the second best at worst. So at best, he's maybe, some people could argue he's the best, but probably equal best ever with Djokovic. Worst case, when you just forget about what he would have, could have, should have, and focus on what he did, even with that, he's still the second best ever. So it's been a great career. He was a guy who's like, him and Djokovic, the one thing they had in common too is like they were like the fastest two players. They were both good rallies. They were both consistent. They both had they both didn't miss much. They both had a great return to serve. Djokovic was a bit better. Nadal had that one big weapon like a forehand where you can hit for any defender and any court and finish points on slow clay courts, whereas Djokovic struggled to get through a peak Nadal speed to get through those slow clay courts through Nadal to have that big weapon. He didn't have it. Nadal had it. Nadal had better topspin. Djokovic had a bit better return of serve, especially attacking the second serve. But anyway, we're going to talk about Nadal and him and Djokovic, best two ralliers. He had the best forehand ever. He was the best at topspin. I think he was better than Djokovic on return of serve on the clay courts by standing far back and getting so many in play. And then so he and Djokovic best two rallies. He's got the best forehand ever. He's the best clay court returner. He's the best clay court player at all time. He's the best at topspin. And he's the equal best with Djokovic at all time. But even if you forget what he would have done, he might have been on Djokovic's level or better. Even if you get that, the record still states, even with the injuries. Imagine that. You're one of the most injured best players of all time, and you got the second best record, the second best, with all these injuries. And the two guys you competed, Federer and Djokovic, were the two most healthy. How can you have so many injury problems but still have the second best record of all time in Grand Slams, Masters of 1000? Amazing career, and amazing player, and amazing fighting spirit. He would just be in every point, hard, not giving up. Every point was a battle. He would never being so intense. His physical game, like him and Djokovic, again with the long rallies, running down everything, not missing, battling, fighting a bit more than Djokovic, but then having to put more effort because a lot of the time when you hit the ball to his backhand, he would run around and hit forehands. Again, that takes more effort. It was just such a battling, fighting sort of a game. And I feel like at the end, what made him retire was like, if he slows down a bit on his speed, he can't just say, like, I'll play the attacking style. I'll have a big serve, maybe like Federer. He doesn't have that. He has to be in the long rallies. He has to run. He has to have speed. And if he slows down a bit, he won't be anything like the player that he was, and he won't win, and he'll have to retire. Two, you saw he's better at clay because he had a chance. He has a big swing on the forehand. He had a chance to set up, have time for the big swing and get in position. But when the courts were faster, his forehand, he was arriving a bit late on the big swing, but the clay gave him that bit of extra time. But what happens if he slows down a bit? He won't even have enough time on clay. And then he's going to arrive late on the forehand and not been getting in position in time because he's 38 and he's now slowed down. So that small difference between the clay and the faster courts where you saw a big difference, that difference is now, that negative effect that he had on the faster courts is now hitting him on clay because he's slowed down a bit and he's out of position like he would be on a fast court, or even worse, because he's still found a way to not be as good as clay but still be very good. But now he can't even do that, and he can't even do it on clay because he's slowing down. He needs time to sit on the forehand, arriving there late, and he's not getting through the swing. And he's hitting a lot of mistimed shots, and now you're taking his forehand out of play and his defense out of play. So really, then he's just a shell of the player he was, and he can't win, and he has to retire. So I think that's what happened, and that's what happens at 38. But Nadal is so dependent on the speed because He needs the long rallies. He needs the defense. And he needs to be able to get in position to have that full swing on the forehand. The slowing down with the age took both away. So that's what made him retire. But just a great player, great career, and congratulations for Rafael Nadal's career. I'm going to do another video where I have more time and talk more about it, but that's my video for today. Subscribe, bell notification, thumbs up. Be here for my next video. I'll review this season, I'll preview 2025, and I'll talk more about Nadal's retirement and what a great player he was. But subscribe, bell notification, thumbs up. Have a great day or night. Thanks for being here with me, and I'll see you guys all in maybe about a week from now. Subscribe. See you guys. Thanks for being with me. Subscribe, bell notification, thumbs up. See you guys in about a week. Bye for now.